The CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. We're coming to you live from our West Loop Studios in downtown Chicago.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. That is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We are coming to you live after not one, not two, but 3 straight victories over the Kansas City Royals. White Sox win 5-2, and in baseball terms, that's a sweep, Herb.
Damn straight. Feels good. Finally, the White Sox get off the schneid. This is their third opportunity, I believe, to try to get a sweep versus a team. Their first time they've actually got the job done. Didn't start off right initially, where I was like, here we go. Damn, Brother Rice is killing us again. But then, you
shit-talked him. I should have bet him. I don't know why I didn't. You shit-talked him for no reason.
This man.
Where'd you go? Did you go to the Catholic League blue school?
I didn't. I went to Wheat North.
What dog do you have in this fight?
The DuPage Valley.
You just love Southside Zoe that much?
I love him. Yeah.
Mercy.
And I love, St. Rita and Mount Carmel, all those Southside schools. Marist. That's one of my favorites. But yes, the White Sox persevered.
They wouldn't like you.
Huh?
They wouldn't like you.
I'm sure. I don't play in good sports either. But it's good the White Sox got a good dub today over these pesky-ass Royals. Royals had to scratch White Sox nemesis Brad Keller, which would have gone out there and thrown some trash out there for 6 innings and shutting us down. So I'm glad they went with Carlos Hernandez, even though he was filthy out there. God damn. They got some arms.
Well, Carlos Hernandez has always done that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done that every single time against the White Sox. I'm not sure why they just didn't let him go 5 innings.
I mean, maybe he doesn't have the length, but damn, yeah.
He's had the length before against the Sox.
Yeah, turn that guy into a starter because he's got something. Maybe, he's bad at the bullpen, but every time, like you said, every time I see the man, he's just blowing smoke by somebody, and the White Sox are looking silly. Fastball and a plus slider, what's not to love?
Well, that's the thing is usually, teams that actually have good hitters, they wait for him to throw a strike instead of swinging at every damn pitch. I mean, you could just go to the game on Saturday, too. I mean, we're talking about a sweep here, so we got to focus on all the positives because there hasn't been a ton of positives for this White Sox team. Their first sweep last year in 2022 came in May 8th when they played Boston. Their last sweep was of Detroit in August 14th. That was the series that Luis Robert got injured, and we saw how he played at the end of the season with his injured wrist. Wasn't hitting 13 home runs like he has already.
Which is a career high, right?
Yeah, ties a career high, and I think he's still leading the American League. So
it's pretty good.
He's one of the best players in the American League. No big deal.
And despite how many runs they scored on Friday, they're just playing better baseball. Like the team as a whole is playing better baseball. And I told you and Vinny we all disagreed on which is the more pressing / concerning position, the starters, the bullpen, or the hitters. I was looking more at the starters because they determine most of the things that happen with the White Sox. The last year's record of 81-81 was mostly because they pitched. Starters pitched last year, and they pitched pretty decently, besides Lucas Giolito. This year, you saw the starters start off really bad as a collective, and then with Lucas Giolito being the outlier, now I think this is their 6th straight game as a quality start for the starters. It's exactly what you need. You give quality starts out there, you give your team a chance to win, and you give the hitters some confidence, hey, we only need to get a certain amount of runs. I know we're not scoring a bunch of runs, but all we need is get 4. get 2 on Friday because Michael Kopech was Michael Kopech on Friday. Get a couple on Saturday. You get dubs like that. And they know after a certain while, especially with the Cleveland team that doesn't hit a lot without Jose Ramirez and this Kansas City team today that didn't have Vinnie Pasquantino, all you need is like 3 or 4 runs, and you can get the dub, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2, we will have some bad news for the starting pitching. An injury we have to talk about with you giving thumbs up to Baloney?
Yeah, Baloney.
Nice shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
Julie very nicely reached out and was like, "Oh, you were at the tailgate. Can we put your name on the back?" And then you seeing that shirt, I realized I forgot that shirt existed, and I forgot to buy it. So that's on me. I could be looking spiffy like you too, and I think I probably missed out.
I think they're still out there, but
I should go over and check out the bumps. All right. Anyways, the White Sox though, like with Lance Lynn today, he obviously gave up the homer for Mike Massey, but it was a fine start. Like again, like we are looking for length out of these pitchers, and we've gotten that consistently over the past 6 games, and that's why they won 5 of 6. I don't know if the White Sox are back, but 9-29 looks all right. And again, like this AL Central isn't formidable. We'll talk about the injury and how that affects the rotation, but I mean, I don't really care who's pitching as long as they can give them length, because Luis Robert's hitting bombs like every single day. He's got 8 in the month of May already. He's taken his OPS from 668 to start this month all the way up to around 900. So that's raised his OPS about 300 points. So, I mean, when you have a player like that, when he's stealing the bases like he did, I think, what was that, last game?
Yeah.
On Saturday, playing spectacular defense. I mean, this was the player we were always promised. And hopefully he can find that consistency, and hopefully he can find that health. Like, we've never seen Luis with length over a full entire season, and right now he's leading the American League in home runs. So if he plays 140-something games, we'd be extremely lucky. But watch out, league, because, I mean, he might put up ridiculous numbers, like 40 home runs. And I know we always joked about that, but he's got that potential.
Yeah, and I hope he and Eloy understand that they don't need max power, max swings for the ball to travel a lot of a distance off of their bats. Because today, it didn't look like he put a lot of effort into that swing. He just let that ball get deep, and he crushed that ball to right center and let it get deep and went into the patio area. I didn't think off the bat it was a home run, but that's how strong that man is. Luis Robert Jr., yeah, and Chicago sports fan, he might be up there if the White Sox continue this good play, because he is undoubtedly their best player, undoubtedly their best hitter. And when he plays like this is what we need. Like, you're going to have the game on Saturday. You're going to have sometimes where he's striking out and he looks like the old Luis Robert. You just need to, have those very seldom. Those come in between a 4 home run streak or come between a 10-game on-base streak type of thing. You know, in the past, you would have him injured or you would have him just look bad. Like early in the year, you said he started this month with a 600 OPS. Piss poor. That's not what he's about. He's about this right now. This 900 is where we should expect him to be the whole year. And if he can just continue this play, which will be, I think, it's not asking too much, he'll bring the White Sox up, and we're getting reinforcements. Man, we got some good problems to have. Clint Frazier, I know he didn't do a lot today. He got a single, but I think that guy can help the White Sox in the long run. If you got him, you got Eloy Jimenez, you got Jake Berger, you got Gavin Sheets. The outfield is pretty all right, except for our left fielder, who doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but his bat is playing, because I think he has an 8-game hitting streak now.
Yeah, we could slow down on Clint Frazier.
Why do you hate redheads?
It'd be great for Benintendi to start doing that consistently. It's great that he's got an 8-game hitting streak, and I do know that, Tom. Great, he's got an 8-game hitting streak. Jordan Walker had a 12-game hitting streak, tied Ted Williams' record, and then the Cardinals sent him down. All right, hit streaks don't matter that much. He still has an OPS under 700. Okay,
he's coming.
Hopefully. I mean, he's climbing. He's crawling.
And
he's crawling to that 700 OPS.
The recent struggles of Tim, I've proposed that Tim get dropped down and Benintendi being the guy getting those leadoff at bats.
That's the thing is, when we are now looking at this lineup, and it's not the best problem because it's more about Tim's lack of performance, but the starting shortstop for the 2022 All-Star team having to move down in our lineup, that's not, I mean...
That's a good thing to happen.
It seems like Jake Berger and Gavin Sheets and Romy just had a great day. I don't want to say he's
Congratulations,
here. Yeah, but hey, he
Enjoy
did it. Good for him. But hopefully they are able to have some development with these hitters. Like that's what we were really hoping for with Mike Tozar and Chris Johnson and Pedro Grifol coming in. That it would be kind of the same boost that Ethan Katz gave to the pitching staff in 2021. I don't know if this is exactly it, but there's been a ton of homers in May. I know later on in the game they were scoring their runs by singles and loading up the bases and kind of what the offense was last year. But hey, Luis Robert wasn't hitting 13 homers last year. He's already surpassed his home run total from last year. So it's an ugly record. Yes, 19-29, but they're not dead in the water, and that's why we can still say it is early. If they have another month like this and another month like this and another month like this, it's possible they could be at the top of the American League Central because this is a horrible division.
Yeah, currently
they're spending like $185 million. They should just be able to buy the damn division with their payroll.
Currently, they are 7 games behind the Minnesota Twins, who right now are leading the Angels 1-0 in the third. So Twins lose today. White Sox are 6.5 games behind them. I don't think they have to play them until a little later in the year, maybe July. But it's take a game a week. Take a game a week. I think the White Sox took 2 games this week as they started last week, I believe, at either 9 or 9.5 games at the start after losing to Houston. So they're taking games, and they don't need to have a furious 10-game win streak because that other team is way in front of them. If they're in the AL Central or I'm in the AL East or the AL West, we luckily play in this garbage division where there's not a good team. And we're going to be facing more garbage AL Central teams this week, but unfortunately, that man's back. Jose Ramirez is back for the Cleveland Guardians. So let's pitch around him.
And just walk him.
And then go for every other bum on that team. And then we see, for the first time this year, the Detroit Tigers. We played every other team after this Guardian series twice in a series besides Cleveland, the Detroit Tigers, which we haven't seen the whole year. So let's get our forks, get our knives, get our Lugers, our A1, start eating.
Yeah, well, and I see some people bringing up like what the pitching is going to be coming up. I've seen some interesting things all the way from Garrett Crochet to Jimmy Lambert. So it'll be an interesting discussion with Vinny, especially with Davis Martin having to go under Tommy John. But there is no pitching matchup for Monday, so we don't really know who's pitching for Cleveland or the Sox yet. So it's kind of like they're both in a similar spot here. So at least we could take the silver lining there.
On my MLB app, they have Hunter Gaddis, Hunter Gatherer, on our Cleveland Guardians starting pitcher in line. He has 5 games this year, 19 2/3, with a 6.86 ERA.
Yeah, he's not good.
His career's got a 10 ERA.
He's very similar to what we saw in Jordan Lyles. Maybe he throws a little bit faster.
But if I recall, last time
he's bat and fieldish.
If I recall last time, he beat the White Sox, or he did something well versus the White Sox. Like, that's Hunter Gatherer.
That's the thing with the White Sox, though. Even you could go to Saturday and thankfully they only allowed the Royals to score 1 run. But like, it's not like the offense is perfect. It's not like this offense is a world beater. They beat the Royals, right? Like, and there was frustrating moments with my guy Andrew Vaughn going up against Jordan Lyles. I think he was 0 for 3, and it's like you just talked about how you saw him last time in KC in the same at-bat where he's throwing you the same fastball in the same spot, and that's how you're taking it out for a homer. And it really, at some point, he frustrates me because it feels like he's trying to show off how good his eye is. Like, the last at-bat that he had against Jordan Lyles, it's really just him trying to say, like, oh, that's a pitcher's pitch, and I'm not going to swing at that. But the ump doesn't give a shit. The ump's just going to call it a strike if it's close enough because that's what Jordan Lyles does. He's going to be close enough to the strike zone. And it's like, we know you have power to all fields, so if he's going to be pitching you to the outside instead of the inside and you took an inside pitch for a homer, then why don't you shoot it down the line for a double? Like, you are a top 3rd overall pick. You should be able to, after seeing Jordan Lyles consistently, to be able to jump on him. And thankfully they won the game. I don't want to be too picky, but like, again, these are the White Sox. They went 81-81 last year. They just beat the Royals. Like, there are so many qualifiers with this, but there are some reasons to feel good.
I was wrong about Hunter Gatherer. He lost to the White Sox last year. He gave up 5 home runs in a start when we pitched 4 innings. They all got loose on him. 5 separate home runs.
Let's go. Do you want to just name them off?
It turned off when I had a chance, but I know Andrew Vaughn hit a home run off of him.
All right. Well, hopefully he
Gavin
can
Sheets, I believe.
Get back into good graces by going deep off Hunter Gatherer. But yeah, I don't know what you expect the lineup to look like tomorrow, and we're gonna have to talk to Vinny because Hanser Alberto hurt his shoulder.
That's the most White Sox injury I've ever seen in my life. Man's
at least he wears the uniform.
Calling
proudly.
himself safe hurts his left shoulder.
He's a
he didn't even
competitor.
do it like very, like monstrous. He was like just like this, and he's like, "Oh man, that shoulder's gone now." How do you throw your shoulder out like that?
Well,
I don't know. It's the White Sox way, man.
He moonlights as a pitcher, so we just know that pitchers are kind of weak. I could they usually have to wear the jacket when they're running the bases. Hanser Alberto, I'm surprised he's not putting the jacket on. I'm not trying to call Hanser Alberto weak. It's just weird.
It's very weird.
Just very White Sox.
What are you asking now about the lineup and what I expect tomorrow? Or are you asking after the break?
Joey, how deep are we into the show?
15 minutes?
we can wait.
16 minutes.
All right, I'll name off all the homers that the White Sox hit off Hunter Gatherer, and then we'll take a break. And
Is that a real player? That's
Hunter Gaddis.
Hunter Gaddis.
Is his name.
Okay. I figured that was just a nickname you guys were using.
Real quick, you did bring up Clint Frazier, though. I'm bouncing all over the place. Joey, you know Clint Frazier from his Cubs days.
Yeah, his long tenured Cubs days.
How'd it go?
It went short, but sweet.
It was sweet?
Was he good?
Well, sweet, I mean, it depends how you want to remember it.
Well, hold on. When was it? Last year?
It was last year.
And when the Cubs were?
Bad.
Oh, okay.
Very bad.
And so he wasn't even good enough to make the bad Cubs team?
I don't remember exactly what happened, but he wasn't really given a great shot.
Okay.
In terms of at least major league playing time, and then they just kind of DFA'd him when it seemed like they probably could have kept him around. I think he was dealing with some injury stuff early on in the season, but I'm not going to say he was like bad for the Cubs. He didn't play a lot, and then he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, he won't play a lot for the White Sox.
First round pedigree. This is what they love.
They do. Getting that player that has a great first round pedigree. See if you can find magic in a bottle like they did with Carlos Quentin back in the day in 2008. If they do happen to find anything from Clint Frazier, if he is like Carlos Quentin, which is a huge ask, trade him immediately. Trade him immediately. He has shown you what he is up to this point. He's 28. He's not going to turn into some great hitter. And if he is, good. Don't fucking hold that guy in your hand all day long. He's got the Gordon Beckham number, and if he has a good year, he'll be Carlos Quentin. Trade both of them. I was hitting the button so hard in 2008. I was like, what, Gordon Beckham's good? Trade his ass for Adrian Gonzalez immediately. And the same thing with Carlos Quentin. I was like, trade him. He's never been good, and he hits, 36 home runs here for the White Sox. There's no precedent for him being good. He's going to be bad on the other side, and he got hurt hitting his hand on the bat. Just dumb.
Wait, so with Clint Frazier, what do they announce him as when he comes to the plate now? Because
Clint Frazier.
He changed his name for a while.
What?
He went by Jackson Frazier, which is his middle name. I'm completely serious. That was a total thing he did. He was like, I want to be called Jackson. It was like a rebrand of his own.
When he was a Cub or when he was a Yankee?
No, I think when he was coming off of his Yankees tenure. Like the Cubs minor league where like the PA announcer would be like, now batting, Jackson Frazier.
It's weird. He's gone by Clint.
On Wikipedia, on June 22nd, 2022, Frazier told a broadcaster for the Iowa Cubs that he wanted to be called by his middle name Jackson moving forward. After using his middle name for a portion of the 2022 season, Frazier claimed that the decision was part of a, quote, joke that just went too far, end quote, and therefore continued to be known as Clint. So
yeah,
he was
I don't
joking.
know. I don't know if that's a weird joke.
I mean, you remember it. It's not like this is like the Mandela effect. This is real. He wanted to be called Jackson Frazier.
It's weird.
Hey, I mean, you always love to say Clint Jackson Frazier, or
Yeah, I'll say
Jake Michael Berger.
Yeah, if he hits a home run and he does well, I'll call him whatever the hell he wants me to call him. Up there earlier, I think it was Schwo.
Oh, you saw that too?
Yeah.
I mean, what? Can you scroll up?
Yeah, there it is. You had it right there. It's on the bottom
right
now. Will the Sox be within 3 games of the first come July 4th? If yes, Sean gets a domestic pig. That's too much. If no, Herb can't wear facial hair for a month. You don't want that. If you watch this
Shout out
YouTube show.
Schwo, who I believe is one of Will Gottlieb's buddies. He's a big fan of CHGO Bulls, I know, but
Hell yeah.
shout out Schwo.
If you
Sean gets a domestic pig, I would love that.
I don't know if Sean's getting a domestic pig,
Not
but
getting a domestic pig.
But I don't
My
really want
landlord will
to
not
cut my
want that.
beard off because it'll be bad for TV/YouTube.
I think it will look great.
I've never seen you with clean shaven.
I think you
I
should
would
do
love
that.
to see the pet pig in Sean's
This
like
can
nice
happen though. This
apartment.
is like more likely than not.
Your nice apartment with
The
the
White Sox
with the
not
girlfriend
being-
and like your that green chair that you have. Like I'd like to see the pig just sitting in the chair.
not doing that.
That'd be nice.
No,
This could happen. Like the White Sox are currently 7 games out,
yeah, I'm not.
and
Making
if
a
it
pig
didn't
bet.
happen, but if they did get there, a little teacup pig.
Alex makes a good joke, or makes a decent point. The podcast is audio only, so half of the audience will not see you. So I like the bet.
The confidence would just be down. I'd be like, ugh, I look like a child out here.
You could draw
I don't
one
got
on.
my grays anymore. A little distinguished grays, a little salt and pepper in my beard.
It looks that does look nice. I'm
Be
jealous
weird.
of that.
But yeah,
I mean,
if the White Sox don't do it, Swole, for you, I'll do it for you. If they don't make it within
did
3
you say?
games in July, what do you say, Swole, on the bottom there?
No, the middle conference room. I feel like we should make that the pig pen. Maybe I just don't want the damn pig in my house. I mean, we'll put it in the middle.
Pigs smell like ass. They're terrible. Delicious to eat.
It's on the Sox to be
Very
in first place by
very
July
intelligent
4th.
animals.
One of my favorite things to eat.
What?
Very intelligent animals. The
Very
pig.
intelligent animals. Do you know any pig trainers?
No.
Okay. Well, we got to make some connections.
Went on a nice field trip when we were in first grade to like a farm pig down there. Remember that? Remember that pretty well. Down south.
Okay.
We can go visit.
Maybe give them a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them a call.
See,
Schwo said
that's a much better bet. Me not wearing a hat. The hat thing is mostly because I got decent hair. It's because I sweat a lot.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that too. So I would not wear a hat and cut my beard off. Damn, you guys, man, you want me out here.
As a man in his 40s, I'm surprised you're just not letting the hair fly. I mean, you got hair.
I
mean,
do.
You should
I
be
do.
proud of that.
No, I sweat too much.
Hey. All right. Schwo said, though, Sean has been so Sox negative this season that he deserves the domestic pig if the Sox continue to lose. Hey, man. You know what? Yeah, man. You know
I get what you're saying, Shro, but I mean, what else? What else are we gonna be positive about the 19-29 White Sox? I'm positive now because we won 3 games in a row, 5 of the last 6. It feels good. I was talking to people today at the Sports Bums podcast or the Sports Bums tailgate today. People were just like, you know what, this team sucks, but today is great because we have a chance to sweep these guys and have some actual good baseball in this homestand, and that's what we did. We had some good baseball. We're seeing the team that maybe we envisioned coming into the year, maybe a little later than we expected, but as we discussed earlier, plenty of time to get the job done.
I hope so. Again, there's so much reason to be excited. They swept somebody. Yay. But there's so many qualifiers. It was the Royals. There's them and the A's.
You got to beat somebody.
Awful teams.
You play the Royals and play the Royals more than most teams.
And they were 3-1 against them, or 1-3 against them the last time I saw them. So it's a nice.
Clark is
turnaround.
wondering if we got a pig. If you guys got the pig, you would get Studio A more.
Maybe.
If it was part of the show, yeah.
What if we named
would
it
even up the
Studio
numbers
A?
a little bit?
We could name the pig Studio A. Anyways, we're going to take a break, and then we'll loop Vinny in on the pig talk. Shout out to Melissa, who I see hanging out in the chat, Sox Mom. She just got some great seats at Guaranteed Rate Field with Game Time. She wasn't stressed out. She bought tickets to her favorite event and wasn't stressed out. She used Game Time, the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. They have killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, so you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. I'm going to the National tonight at the Auditorium Theater if you're looking for something to do.
Renaissance, man.
There? Wow.
Yeah, I've never been.
Wow.
I'm excited.
Y'all should go in Game Time and get some auditorium theme and say what's up to Sean
Boom.
today and say what's up to the National and Dave Martinez.
In their 2019 World Series rings. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event, and you can get exclusive flash deals on tickets to football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And there's the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Herb hit them up when he went to Atlanta and got his 110% of the difference in 12 minutes or less. So snag the tickets without the stress of Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account with and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply, and create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also want to let you know about our friends over at ComEd. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future. Yeah, Herb, you want to? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting. I got to turn this volume of this lighting up. Incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd offers also free facility assistance that can help find energy-saving opportunities like HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, and industrial processes.
Can you ask me how it works so I can read the bigger part so you can take a breath?
How does it work, Sean?
An authorized engineer will work with you.
Wait, so I'm asking myself how it works, and then you answer it? That's
yes.
Weird.
An
I was
authorized
supposed to be reader one.
engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs, and these can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers can receive a report detailing energy efficiency project they can start working on immediately. And each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, do not wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz.
Did you say comed.com/poweringbiz?
I did, and I got to start telling you when these ad reads are coming up.
It's fine. I always had it ready.
You're always ready to go.
And if you got one later on, I got my Shade of Rays on my hat.
And so is Vinnie Duber. I don't know if we do have a Shade of Rays one. Oh,
forgot about our
you
good
forgot
buddy.
about Vinnie?
No, I didn't.
Or are you just trying to pull up
there he
your
is.
graphic? Hi, Vinnie.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You forgot about your graphic? We're being joined by our CHGO beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. Hi, Vinnie.
Hey, guys. How are you today?
Oh, we're good, especially after a White Sox sweep. How was the White Sox clubhouse after their first sweep of 2023? There's our guy.
Would it surprise you to learn that it is happier than when they lose?
Well, I know, but it's good to hear that they're happy because it's just been a tough season, 19-29, but it seems like they're picking up steam. I don't know if that's the consensus around the clubhouse after 5 out of their last 6 have been wins and getting their first sweep of 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they know that this is a season-long thing at this point, right? I mean, because you're right. You look up and you see the record. They're 10 games under 500. That's not good, right? But I think that they know that, yeah, they've been playing better of late, but they got a long way to go. But they're confident that they can get that, make it that long way kind of thing. So, I heard you talking beforehand, yeah, it's a sweep, their first sweep of the season, but it comes with all these qualifiers. I think everything at the moment with the White Sox, whether good or bad, comes with the qualifier, right? Yeah, they're playing well right now, but, it's look what they did in April. Or you can say the bad stuff. You can point out a bad thing like, maybe what Mike Clevinger going on the IL today or something like Eloy is still on the IL. Tim Anderson's not playing super well right now, but look, they're winning games, and look that they've got all these other things going well for them. Look how good the pitching has been of late, So it's all a mixed bag right now, and I think at the end of the day, that's baseball. It's just that the White Sox particularly, and then by extension their fan base, got hit in the mouth right there in April, and it's like it was basically everybody saying, well, I guess that's that. It's funny. I've got something going up later today, and I wrote about this a little bit last night. Obviously, we had Jared Willis out here for CHGO. I was out in the burbs doing a nice little summertime thing, hanging out in a backyard party, and I didn't know many of the people who were in attendance there, and so of course they're asking me what I do, and then everybody's reacting. The White Sox, they're not very good right now, are they? What's wrong? What's going on? What are they going to do? Who are they trading at the trade deadline? Blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, I looked up and we were leaving, and I'm talking to the host, who's a big White Sox fan. And he's kind of doing the same thing. Oh, it's over. It's whatever. What's the rest of the season going to be like? And I pull up the standings and I go, there's 7 games out of first place. And again, I'm not going to tell you that the White Sox are going to win this division. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be the most exciting division race you've ever seen in your life. But hey, here we are about to be at Memorial Day weekend, the start of summer. And 2 weeks ago, everybody would have thought that there would have been no reason to pay attention to this team this summer. And what have they done? through all the various circumstances, perhaps mostly playing in this American League Central Division, they have all of a sudden given people a reason to pay attention this summer, because you don't know what's going to happen. They're playing well right now, and it could very well result in a tight race for a long time, or maybe they're 10 games under 500 right now, and it is that whole "you are what your records say you is" kind of thing. So we'll see how it goes here, but I don't think it's ready to. I don't think we're ready to bury this team quite yet, even though it very much looked like that at the end of April. Just because here we go, they've got a shot here, they've got a realistic chance. And I talked to Gavin Sheets today in the clubhouse. I talked to Andrew Benintendi, and these guys are like, we still think this is a team that's capable of winning this division. Look around. Look what's going on right now. Gavin Sheets put it this way: you can't look at what the Rays are doing and try to compare it to, can these White Sox, who are 10 games under 500, compete for a pennant with the best team in baseball right now on May 21st? You got to look at it as, can they chase down the Twins? And I don't think there's a lot of people around. And again, this isn't necessarily a compliment to the White Sox, but I don't think there's a lot of people around saying, "Oh my God, no, it's impossible. They'll never catch the Twins." So I think it's summertime. Summertime's here, and what do we do during the summer? We follow these two baseball teams here every day that we've got in this city, and I think there's a reason for people to be still paying attention to the White Sox, as they have shown here over the last week.
Got 6 consecutive quality starts from the White Sox starting pitching. I think that's probably going to be challenged tomorrow with Mike Clevinger going the IL. But started with Lance Lynn, and it most definitely will end with Lance Lynn. What do you have to say after his outing, and what is different about Lance Lynn? What do you say that has been different in these starts, other than the starts that he's gotten hit hard on?
I think for the pitching staff as a whole, remember how many walks they had at the beginning of the season and how many guys they were putting on. I think they just kind of said at the end of the day, forget about it. Let's just attack that strike zone. And that's what we've heard from Dylan Cease. It's what we've heard from some of these other guys. And I think it applies to Lance Lynn. I mean, I think he would probably still tell you that one walk is too many, just because that's the kind of guy that he is. But it's about going after these guys, going after the strike zone. And, of course, when it's the Kansas City Royals and a Cleveland Guardians lineup without Ramirez or Naylor, that's an easier thing to do, right? I mean, maybe going after the guys just like last weekend, the Houston Astros, makes a difference. But, they're going after guys, and I think that's making the difference for the team as a whole, as well as Lance Lynn specifically right now. The last 2 starts have looked very, very good from him, and it's a nice streak that this starting rotation is on. We're going to see what happens with Mike Clevinger. It didn't seem to be terribly serious in terms of an injury, at least the way that Pedro Grifol talked about it after the game today. We just heard about it minutes before this game started. So the only opportunity we got to talk to anybody about it was Pedro after the game. And he basically said, like, oh yeah, it popped up in his last start, and we're going to use it as a way to get him some rest. As I mentioned when I was explaining to you guys why they made the flip earlier this week with Michael Kopech, just get these guys some extra rest and keep them fresh. Well, the next 15 days, or I guess the next, 10-ish days, because it'll be backdated to Clevinger's last start, will be, that period at which the White Sox can get some rest for Clevinger as well. So, in addition to getting rid of this whole wrist situation that he's got going on. So they don't know what they're going to do. At least that's what Pedro said in terms of who's going to start the game tomorrow in Cleveland. I asked if a bullpen day was a possibility, because he said the Sox were going to wait to see who threw today in terms of a bullpen pitcher to see kind of what their options were. So he said he didn't know if a bullpen day was a possibility, but I suppose it could be. Jesse Schultens, who was the guy who was mentioned by both Pedro and Chris Getz this week when referencing who would be the first guy up now that Davis Martin is out for the year. Jesse Schultens was that guy, and he didn't pitch this week. He didn't make his scheduled start in AAA, so it's very possible that he would be the guy that was called on should they need another starting pitcher. But again, there's always the possibility of a bullpen type situation. We'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow.
Schulten's so far in 38 and a third innings in Charlotte, a 3.99 ERA, which is a difficult ballpark to pitch in. So, his WHIP is 1.12, which means he's not walking a ton of guys. Hey, so that's going in line with what the White Sox have been getting. But yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the largest blow if they need to cover one spot in the lineup. It's just, if anything else happens, it just really seems like they're screwed because, I mean, with today, you didn't see Reynaldo Lopez pitch, you didn't see Jimmy Lambert pitch, and those are guys that have had length before in their careers. They've talked about the importance of Garrett Crochet and his, as you said, Swiss Army knife ability. So it shouldn't be the toughest task for them to cover a start tomorrow, no?
If that's all it is, you know what I mean? I think the idea is the time period. That's when you really need to lean on that depth, or I should say lean on your sixth starter or whatever number you might be on. That's what Davis Martin was able to do so effectively last year. He wasn't just a guy who you could say, man, we just need 4 innings. I mean, he was a guy who you could plug into the rotation if need be. We'll see if the White Sox need to do that. You would imagine it would be 2 starts for Clevinger, I think, if I'm doing my math right, that they would need to cover. Maybe there's an off day. No, there's not an off day for a while. So, but if it's any more than 2 starts, that's when you need those guys who are behind the rotation to start performing and performing well. We don't know what Jesse Schultens is going to do if he does come up, whether it's tomorrow or at some other time. But if it's just, a couple of bullpen days that they need to do here over the next 10 days, that's a little bit easier of a pill to swallow as well. So we'll just have to see which way they go. Obviously, you don't want to waste your bullpen. This bullpen has been very good of late. Let's not lose sight of that, too, despite how ugly their numbers were as recently as just, a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. They did tremendous work this weekend and really tremendous work all week. Joe Kelly has been phenomenal, my goodness. And you're starting to get that collection of relief arms looking a little bit like it was supposed to look as well. So you don't want to upset that apple cart if you don't have to in making up for Clevinger here.
Yeah, it's retroactive to May 18th, so he should be able to start on June 2nd if everything, goes to plan.
And there's a day off before there, too, so if need be, they can skip his start, and then he can pitch later on there.
Yeah, it does. I mean, was the idea of a rehab start brought up? Or is it just?
I think it's probably
enough?
Too early. Probably too early to tell on that, I would imagine.
All right.
And today we didn't see Tim Anderson start the game, but we saw him inserted into the game later when Hanser Alberto got hurt in that weird ass play. 2 questions: how's Hanser doing? And then secondly, was this just off day for Timmy, get him off his feet, or was it he has some more injury concerns?
So Hanser created the pain in his shoulder by doing this at first base, by making the I'm safe sign at first base. So that is a bit of an embarrassing injury right there. But Pedro seemed confident when it comes to the outlook for Alberto. It doesn't seem like it's something that's going to be too terrible. He was announced as day-to-day when they announced that he left with the shoulder pain. So we'll see what happens with him going forward. Obviously, good to see Romy Gonzalez get 3 hits today, and the White Sox might be a little bit more confident using him at second base if need be. But Hanser Alberto might not be out that long, so we'll see how that goes. When it comes to TA didn't play today because of, like you said, getting him off his feet. It was the physical need to recover kind of thing was the explanation that Pedro gave us. I think a lot of people have seen the way TA has played lately, the results that he's been getting lately, and said, give him a day off to get his head right kind of thing, or because he's not playing very well right now. That was made adamantly clear by Pedro that was not the case. That their MO is not to sit guys down when, even for just a day, when they're not doing well, when they're struggling. This was clearly about the physical right there, and obviously this is not what you want to have happen when you sit a guy down so his body can recover to make him go out there and play the back half of a game. It's I don't know. I don't think there are injury concerns with Tim Anderson, but I guess the way you can describe it is that he's not all the way back to being his normal self, if that makes sense. So, he's healthy enough to play, obviously, and I wouldn't even use the phrasing that he's not 100% or something like that. But all the stuff that Tim Anderson usually does, still stemming from that knee injury, perhaps he is not yet able to do the way he wants to do it. And the idea, of course, is that he will be able to do that soon, but here they are playing. Pedro made a point after the game was over, speaking generally, not about Tim Anderson, but that there are position players on this team who, man, they've played an awful lot of games here so far. They're grinding. There are some few guys out there who are not playing at 100%. And it's kind of what I try to remind you guys and everybody else about all the time, is that this is not necessarily a game where the stamina bar is going to be all the way full with everybody on a daily basis. So Pedro wanted to give a shout out to those guys. We will see if how Tim Anderson is treated moving forward, if he does get some of those rest days, to get his body back as they move forward here.
We saw kind of what you're talking about, where Tim laced that ball into the left center field gap. The center fielder got to it a little bit late. Regular Tim easily cruising into second. This Tim, whose just knees probably not firing in the way he needs to, had to pull up at first and didn't get necessary speed that he usually gets, the speed that he showed in Houston the first game, where he's just low flying and getting the 30 seconds per feet, as Sean likes to talk about, and he's got the burst, and I think one of his only two bolts of this year. So that's what we saw today from Tim Anderson. It's admirable of him to come in as a veteran after another person gets hurt. This is the second time he's had like an off day scheduled, and then he had to come into that game and play a good portion of it. So it's admirable for him to do it and to actually contribute to a victory today. So that's all I had about TA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another spot too where he's supposed to get a day off and he's forced in due to injury. I think this is the second time this year, or at least the first time was an injury.
It was just a pinch hitting late, which is very weird for a veteran to get into a game after they're been told to get an off day, which I kind of like Pedro, if not being fake and such, and saying, hey, get your off day and we're never playing you. It was like the game was hanging in the balance, even though Tim didn't do anything that day. I liked Pedro's
you heard
plan
him
right there. Yeah.
So, I mean, that it's just tough because, I don't know. It just seems like the rest is important to Tim. And it's just, 2 days that get interrupted. Kind of in the same lines, I don't know if this player was brought up, but we see Vaughn get an off day today. All throughout April, had a 792 OPS through the month of May, 626 OPS. He's been able to still drive in runs, but Saturday was a tough go for him. I don't know if there was talk about just him needing a day off or being one of those players that have kind of had a larger role so far this year.
Well, I would just refer to Pedro's answer about TA, basically, was that, him saying we don't really put our best players, we wouldn't put guys who are capable of doing what they're doing down because they are struggling. And I would imagine that applies to Andrew Vaughn the same way it applies to Tim Anderson. The difference obviously being, and again, no slight to Romy Gonzalez, who had a 3-hit day today, but the difference obviously being that you can replace Andrew Vaughn at first base with Gavin Sheets, a guy who's been part of this, kind of offensive surge, if you want to call it that, of late. You've got guys that you can plug there at first base. Shortstop, the depth chart isn't necessarily full of guys whose bats you are comfortable with getting in the lineup. I would imagine that it's easier to go ahead and say, hey, if Andrew Vaughn needs a day to physically recover, no problem, because we've got Gavin Sheets right there. It's not like, they're necessarily leaning too much on Vaughn to be productive because of what's behind him at that position.
Absolutely. And two, I mean, it's a position that once Eloy Jimenez comes back, and it might be a position of competition because Jake Berger's got a hot bat, Gavin Sheets has a hot bat, Andrew Vaughn is a highly touted prospect or was formerly top 3 pick. So that's gonna be an interesting position to watch with the White Sox going forward. We're gonna take a quick break. I want to talk a little bit about Michael Kopech's fantastic start on Friday. Maybe Lenine Sosa too to the rescue with Hanser Alberto going down. Lenine Sosa in the 7 games in Charlotte since going down there, 4 homers, cool 273 batting average, 636 slugging percentage, and 909 OPS. So maybe Lenine Sosa doesn't like being down in Charlotte. So again, it does feel like the White Sox have the depth has been all right this year, at least hitting wise.
Yeah, people have come up and done their jobs. I mean, the lineup today was filled with people who weren't supposed to be starters for this White Sox team on opening day. and they come through.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. I got distracted. I was trying to throw it to break, and then
I got it.
Yeah, whatever. We watched today's game on Fubo TV. 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device and watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. And you can start watching immediately with the 7-day free trial. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. My favorite part is the 1,000 hours of cloud DVR that's included at no extra charge. And with the PGA Championship finishing up, the French Open starting up soon, the WNBA with CHGO Sky coverage.
Yep.
The NHL draft, where the Blackhawks will soon select a player that I guess we can't say will be a Blackhawk, but there's a jersey literally right there with his name on it. So
they can't.
No, they can't.
For some reason, you can't tamper with as the number one pick. Ugh,
yeah,
it's dumb.
I mean, the NFL, they used to know.
The literally number one pick.
The NFL used to sign the guy before the draft even started. They're on the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the issue?
They should already just turn the card in.
Right.
It's like, we're not changing.
We know. You can also watch the NHL and NBA playoffs finish up, and you can watch the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago with Fubo TV. So use the link in the description below to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro, or go to FuboTV.com, FuboTV.com/CHGO. Mercy. Herb, what do you got on your head?
Got some great shady rays.
Polarized shady rays.
Optical clarity, all of it.
Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they tell us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. They have your back at least up to 30 days, too. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ polarized shades. Vinny, new face, Clint Frazier. And Vinny and Joey shared a lot of Y's and a lot of IEs with the names. Joey shared the fact that Clint Frazier used to be Jackson Frazier. So I don't know if you knew that one. But new face in the White Sox clubhouse, Clint Frazier. What do we expect from him? I know that there's a little excitement because he is a former first rounder, and Joey said he really didn't give a fair shot with the Cubs. So I don't know if Clint's ready for this major league opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how often he's going to be out there. He started today, which was, something. But listen, a guy who was killing it down in the minor leagues, not very much in terms of sample size, right? Only 16 games down there, but the numbers were big. And I think the idea is that, like you said, this guy is a former lauded prospect, a guy who's long been viewed as having an awful lot of potential. He said he went to work this offseason with the guy who's currently the Rangers hitting coach and kind of made some changes and made some mindset changes as well as some mechanical ones. But basically, he's trying to keep it simple. He had a great quote today saying that in trying to keep it simple, he's looking at the game as, quote, glorified wiffle ball, which I think was pretty fun. That maybe Major League Baseball wants to change its name to glorified wiffle ball. That would be interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, kind of just another guy in the mix here. While some other folks are coming back off the IL. You saw Eloy Jimenez, is still in his recovery from the appendectomy. So while there's opportunity to be had, here the White Sox are trying out a number of guys, and maybe some of them will stick. I'm not quite sure anybody expected, for example, Adam Hazley to be around as long as he has, and yet here he is getting a shot to be a part-time contributor, a role player of sorts on a team. So that's going to be the way with Clint Frazier, and we'll see if that exactly what that opportunity turns into.
That there's still an opportunity for somebody to win this right field job? Because I know right now, I guess we would say it's Gavin Sheets, but I mean, he's been flexed to first base. Eloy Jimenez is obviously going to come off the IL at some point, and Pedro's talked about his wanting to have Eloy out in the outfield. I mean, will we ever have a kind of right fielder, like a solidified right fielder for this team, or do you think it will kind of be a floating position?
I think as of right now, the ideal way that it would work for the White Sox, because ideal means that Jake Burger keeps doing what Jake Burger's been doing. The ideal way it would work for the White Sox is that you'd probably see Eloy Jimenez and Gavin Sheets split time out there. Eloy Jimenez is obviously not going to ever be benched, right? He's not going to be a platoon bat, so to speak, but he might be part of a platoon in the field, in right field. Pedro, again, talking before the game today, saying that when Eloy comes back, he's going to be expected to play a good deal of right field, not on an everyday basis, but enough that the White Sox can kind of squeeze as much offensive firepower into their lineup as they can. Gavin Sheets has been really good, consistent. Jake Burger obviously has been awesome when he's been out there playing. So Yohan Moncada's not going anywhere at third base either. So Jake Burger's opportunity would seem to be at DH. And so we'll see how it all works out, how it all balances out. But Eloy Jimenez is going to play, it sounds like, a good deal of right field when he comes back off the IL. Whether you want to call him your everyday right fielder, you can try, but I don't think he's going to be out there every day. Gavin Sheets is going to see time out there too because he deserves it, because his bat has been good enough to deserve it. So, and then you got Oscar Colas kind of kicking ass down at AAA also. So, this is one of those, what Rick Hahn likes to always refer to as the good problems to have. But we're going to see how they can solve that puzzle on it. And it's going to be a daily one once Eloy comes back.
Speaking of Eloy, did they give an update? I know he's feeling much better and thinks that he's going to be on the field closer to the 4 than the 6 weeks of the initial prognosis. Any update from Pedro or Eloy himself today before the game?
Not in terms of a timeline, no. It sounds like Eloy will need a rehab assignment, and maybe even one that lasts a little longer, just because of what I just mentioned, the expectation that he's going to need to play in the field. So it's not just going to be about getting his timing back with the bat, but being able to get his know-how down out there in right field too. So there's going to be that, but apparently he's running well. What we hear from Pedro is that if there is a silver lining to getting, part of your body ripped out of it, it's that the recovery time from that has allowed Eloy to also dedicate some time to recovering his legs. He was not 100% when he came back from that hamstring injury, as we all clearly saw when he was running the bases. Apparently he is progressed leaps and bounds in that department, according to Pedro Grifol. So if he's not only going to be able to hit, but he's going to be able to run, and he's going to be able to field, that the White Sox will see as a very good thing, even though being without him for all this time was a very bad thing.
Absolutely. Now, we will see Michael Kopech pitch in the upcoming series against the Guardians. He'll be having the closing game against the Guardians at 12:10. Kopech versus Cal Quantrill. Dylan Cease versus Logan Allen, one of the many Logan Allens that have been on the Cleveland Guardians. They'll go up on Tuesday, and then we still got TBD on Monday for the Sox going up against Hunter Gaddis. But Kopech was brilliant on Friday. I know, obviously, you mentioned you were out in the burbs at a party, and Jared was covering the game on Friday, and he did write an article, so check out allchgo.com for Jared's piece for his weekend coverage, and then also Vinny has a piece coming up later tonight, so make sure you check out allchgo.com for that. But Joey, if we can go to the graphics I sent you about Michael Kopech, he was brilliant. Herb, you were texting me. Were you at a wedding texting me?
On Friday I was not. On Saturday I was.
Oh, okay. I thought you were at a wedding watching Michael Kopech dominate the Royals. This is kind of what everyone's been waiting for from Kopech. 98 pitches from Kopech, goes 8 innings. Grifol did say that if he had a no-hitter, he would be leaving him in. You can go back to that, Joey. Sorry. But 69 fastballs, 15 sliders, 7 changeups, 7 curveballs. And you could just see the velocity was up on all of his pitches. Throwing 69 fastballs and being up a mile per hour is great for Kopech. And that's the thing that's tough about the starter conversation. Like, that's what's on not Michael Kopech, but Ethan Katz is like, you have to turn this guy into a starter, because being able to throw 70 fastballs, having 8 dominant innings, you can go to the next page, Joe. It's just all about defining those breaking ball pitches for him. 69 fastballs, and I know, again, it is the Royals here, but 31 swings, 15 whiffs.
They hit the ball hard. The Royals are not a bad hitting team necessarily. So, yes, it is against the Royals, but the Royals aren't like, oh, man, the Royals suck.
That's foolish.
Yes.
I mean, 15 whiffs on 31 swings, 14 called strikes plus whiffs. A great performance from Michael Kopech, extremely dominant, and he did it with basically one pitch. I don't know how much he can actually build off of this, but it is exciting to see an outing like that from Michael Kopech because you can just see that the length is there. And we saw starts like that from the Yankees last year. There have been moments where that starter is in there, and it'd be really odd for the White Sox to abandon that project. And I know it's mostly a joke when people are saying that, but still, it's not. They need him.
100%, because you see this is the top of Michael Kopech's potential right here. We see this in drips and drabs, and mostly we see the guy who's given up 6 walks, the guy who's given up multiple home runs in multiple games, the 4 home run games in multiple games. But this is what everybody envisioned Michael Kopech to be, and I can't eschew the extra day of rest that he got when they switched over him and Dylan Cease. I think it worked for both people. I think we talked on that Thursday, Vinny, where it's like, yeah, Dylan Cease is good today, and he had a quality start there, but I think this will work out for the team in the long run because now you got Michael Kopech on track. His next start will be on only 4 days rest, a regular day's rest, so I don't know if I'm going to get the same exact Michael Kopech versus Cleveland on Wednesday, but it's a good way to just see that Michael Kopech sees, like, hey, this is pitching. 8 innings can be my ceiling. I can have 7 innings each time out. That could be my median right there. And I can limit the walks, which I was the most surprised with. 10 strikeouts, excellent. No walks is where Michael Kopech needs to live at. And he did some excellent pitching on Friday. I just wanted to commend him because we didn't have a show on Friday.
I mean, it was basically perfect. Obviously it was almost literally perfect in that he almost threw a perfect game, but from a Michael Kopech standpoint, that is the perfect outing you could possibly wish for, especially given the struggles that he has had this year when it comes to, as you mentioned, Herb, putting guys on base, not being able to keep the ball in the ballpark. That is textbook right there. Do that every time is an easy thing to say. Obviously, it's not as easy to do, but we always also talk about momentum and being able to, as to use a basketball term, see the ball go through the hoop and be able to see, hey, all right, I can do it. Let's go. We'll do it again the next time out. This was the Kansas City Royals. You can compliment them all you want, Herb. They're still one of the worst teams in baseball from a record standpoint. But listen, they're on the schedule. So you go out and have that game. That is a big boost to Michael Kopech. I definitely think that that's something he can build off of. It's just consistency, and it's always been consistency, and it's always consistency with every player on the roster. Michael Kopech is one of those guys who has struggled to achieve consistency, really, unless you probably have to go all the way back to 2020 when he was pitching out of the bullpen, or was that 21 when he was pitching out of the bullpen to find a consistent guy. They were plugging him in there in all those double header starts, and you were getting pretty much the same thing from him every time, and it was good. Now, fast forward to now, consistency has not been anywhere to be found for him this year. If he can turn this into the springboard to find that consistency, doesn't have to be that. Doesn't have to be a damn near perfect game every time out, but just the consistency of a good start. You know what you're doing. You know how to work. You know what's working. That would be a huge, huge thing for the White Sox.
Well, and the White Sox, too, the offense, we've been seeing more home runs. I think they're nearly tied nearly top 10 in May with home runs just as a team. And you look at their bullpen in the month of May, they have an ERA under 3. Yes, the White Sox bullpen has under a sub 3 ERA in the month of May. So, they're finding some consistency, which is good. We did know the schedule would open up a little bit. But having a series like this after you just lost to the same Royals team, 3 out of 4 games, this is a really great sign. Hopefully they could build off of it, and we will have shows tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday for you, recapping the White Sox and Guardians game. Now,
I think we have a pregame tomorrow too.
We do. I was just double checking.
Early.
Pregame at 4:30, and then we got around an 8 p.m. 7:45 postgame, and then we got a postgame on Tuesday, and we got a postgame on Wednesday. So we'll see if the White Sox can possibly jump the Guardians in the standings. I know they'd have to have a really great season or a really great series, but hey, we said 20-9, or at least I did, for the month of May for these White Sox. So
Still
we'll
possible.
see if they could turn it around. They'll just need to stay
only lose one more game.
red hot.
So I mean, what? There's
We won't be mad.
10 more games left. Damn,
9-1.
it's gonna be tough.
They'll probably lead the division if they go 9-1.
I mean, it's Cleveland, Detroit, and the Anaheim Angels or LA Angels, so not world beaters. So you can do it theoretically.
yeah, they just need to have 2 more sweeps, which is totally capable. They're capable of doing. Anyways, we'll wrap up the show. We'll talk to you tomorrow too at 4:30 for the pregame show. That's Vinnie Duber. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer, and like you said earlier, he will be having a post up later today at allchgo.com. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Actonwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Thank you to Joey Spathis for producing the show today. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can
Happy
follow me on
birthday,
Twitter
Steven.
at Sean_W_Anderson. Yeah, shout out to our guy, Steven Nicholas, who's, I think, enjoying golf in Arizona, right? So
Yes.
hopefully he's enjoying that with a nice rental car. I know he's all worried about getting the best rental car out there. So shout out to Steven Nicholas, and shout out to everyone watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. We will see you tomorrow for more White Sox baseball at 4:30.